Hey everybody, Matt McKay with Safeguard Insurance here, and I want to talk to you about your long-term care options. Now, you may have had all kinds of stories, you may have had family, you may have seen these horror stories, you've seen people that you know, older people, even younger people, that have had to deal with some kind of nightmare at the nursing home. And so, what I want to get into is, first of all, some people may be sitting here and saying, well, that's never going to happen to me, but, just in case, maybe I need to know something about it. And there may be some people that kind of know, hey, I've had a lot of family that have been in the nursing home, and I don't like how that ended up. And then there may be other people that are in between, or, they have things to protect or whatever, and they want to know, they want to find out, how do I protect my assets, because I need to make sure things are taken care of. So we're all in different boats, but it's very important to consider these things, because if you wait, just like in any insurance, if you wait until you've got a problem, a lot of times it's too late to cover that problem. You might get lucky and find something in some scenarios, but it's not going to be the best scenario that you ever put yourself into. So make sure you're taking care of things, and let's get it done. So, first of all, getting into this conversation about long-term care, let's debunk one of the myths. First of all, so a lot of people feel like, I'll never need it. I'm not going to be in a nursing home. I made a pinky promise with my brothers and sisters that we're not going to do this. We've made a blood pact. We've signed contracts that we won't let each other get in the nursing home no matter what. That's fine. Yet, I've had those same people that tell me that have somebody still end up in a nursing home because they have to. Somebody can't take care of themselves. Somebody's got Alzheimer's that is not going to pass away anytime soon. And somebody's nearly burned their house down. Or somebody is overweight and cannot be carried around by anyone that's not a bodybuilder. These things happen, and I'm just going to be blunt, because sometimes you need to hear these things and, so to speak, kind of pull the Band-Aid off, because we need to know the truth. So we have these myths in our head that we're just never gonna go there. Yet it happens all the time. Nursing home insurance, long-term care, whatever, home health care is one of the most used insurances, because at some point, for the most part, we're not just going to immediately pass away. A lot of times we fade. And so as we fade, we're going to need to transition into the afterlife, and sometimes it's not so graceful. So we're going to need usually some kind of assistance, even if it's a real short-term thing, or, it could be a longer-term type of care. So how do we take care of it? Everybody ultimately thinks about it at some point, or has it come into their life that they've got to deal with it. So, when you think about long-term care and long-term care insurance, the other response sometimes to, have you considered your long-term care, when I'm talking to somebody in an appointment, is, well, I'm not worried about that. That's just for the sick and dying, and I'll be fine, or whatever. Well, it's not necessarily the case. Also, sometimes these things happen where you have an issue. Say you have a small stroke, it messes you up for a little bit, and then you get back on your feet and you're completely fine for years. Well, a lot of times you still need a rehab stay for 20 to 50 days to get yourself straightened out. Sometimes you blow out your back, sometimes you fall, sometimes you have a minor heart attack, whatever it is. The inexplicable can happen. Well, do you have the coverage to take care of these things, or do you have the cash to take care of it? That's the question. So let's not put our heads in the sand, so to speak, and be an ostrich. Let's pay attention, and let's see if we can answer some of these questions. So now that we've kind of spelled some of those myths, let's kind of get into, first, what your choices are, basically how to handle the situation, and then kind of get into who might need it, and then what you can do to prevent or contain the issue. And obviously we're going to talk about insurance ways to do that. So first of all, what are your choices? Okay, first of all, you've got, and I think most people know this, you've got Medicaid. You run out of money, if somebody's sick, You go into, you get on Medicaid and the government pays for it and you get put wherever you get put sometimes, but you don't have to pay for it. They can seize your assets or they'll have control of it after. Sometimes it's not pretty, you're not going to get the best care, but it gets the job done. And for some people, that's fine and they're not that worried about it. But other people say, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I've got to do something about it. If you're in that camp, we need to talk. The other option besides Medicaid is pay cash. If you have the ability that you can pay several $100s a day, likely a minimum of $200 a day if you're in full long-term care, and it's probably more like $300 or even $400 in most areas of the country. You may find a stray bargain here and there that can do something like $150 or $200 a day, but it is not very common, and you're going to be lucky for that to continue past the next few years, especially with how inflation's going and everything else, and especially medical inflation. Just expect it to be pushing into the $250, $300 per day. Do that math out. That is a lot of money that you're going to have to spend just to take care of somebody, even in the short term. How often do you spend $250, $300 per day on anything? That's a lot of money that's coming out, and an average long-term care stay is going to be, depending on male, female factors, whatever, say it's about 2 years. Okay, so 2 years times $250 to $300 a day. Do that math. It's not pretty. So we need to take care of it. If you have that cash, fine, but you need to have that cash when you start your long-term care stay. Meaning, you need to have a significant amount of money sitting there once you've had all your health issues and had to pay your increased premiums and had to pay your for your heart medication or other condition medication as well. There are other medical expenses sometimes before getting into a long-term care scenario that may drain your account. You may have lived 20 years into retirement and drained down your $800,000 retirement, and now it's only a couple $100,000, and you don't have the ability to fund a full long-term care stay for 2, 3, 4 years. Okay, so there are factors here that we need to consider. The other option, besides Medicaid and paying cash, is having insurance of some kind that helps protect you. Okay, so obviously we're an insurance agency. We know the ins and outs of how to protect you there, and we're going to go over that here in the next little bit, and we'll have some more videos that get into more details. But for now, it's just kind of a quick survey, synopsis, summary of your options quickly. Okay, so who might actually need long-term care? Because some people probably never will. Number one, if you don't care and you have no family and you don't care what you leave and you just don't, if you end up in a nursing home, oh well, then that's fine. That's your worldview. But a lot of people have more self-respect and at least self-concern about being in a frustrating situation like that, because they've seen the horror stories and they don't want to deal with that. Also, if you have family, if you have people that you want to leave money to, if you've built an empire, whether it's a large empire that you've got all kinds of real estate holdings and millions of dollars, or whether it's just something you're proud of that you just don't want to throw away, like your family farm or something like that, you can protect it, and you probably should protect it unless you just don't mind losing it. And that's up to you. But if you care about it, or also other people may just be like wanting to have options and be in control of their future. These are all the kind of people that probably need to look at something to protect you. Even people that are lower income, if you really want to have choices, there are things you can do that are affordable that you can do to prevent some things. Depending on your exact level of assets, You may not be able to protect against everything, but you can protect against some things. So, how do we protect ourselves with insurance? Obviously, we talked about having Medicaid, having cash, but in between is insurance. There are ways to do this to make sure that you really don't have any concerns. Now, the question is, can you fully cover yourself completely without any concerns? That depends on your exact ability based on your assets and income. However, you can do it, and for some people, you must do it if you're going to control what you've built. So, the first thing that everybody thinks of when you think of long-term care insurance is standalone long-term care insurance. Okay, what does that mean? That means it's just long-term care. It might have some home health care benefits and stuff like that, but it's only for those situations. It will never pay otherwise unless you have a return of premium rider. Return of premium rider is going to be expensive because the company is promising that they're going to give you all the money back that you put into the policy if you have that return of premium rider. So it's not normal that you're going to be able to afford to pay that premium and really cover yourself fully. But obviously, if you can add a return of premium rider, that immediately takes care of the concern of whether you're going to get your money back. Meanwhile, hopefully you don't go broke. But standalone long-term care can be expensive. It is expensive. If you're looking at any kind of standalone long-term care, no matter how old you are, you're probably looking near $100 a month to just start any kind of idea, no matter how old you are. If you're older, you're going to cost more. If you need more coverage, if you look at an inflation rider, if you look at making sure that your benefit will work 20 years from now, those are all going to cost more on top of that cost. So they're out there, and some people have them. They were more common several years ago. They're less common now, and a lot of companies have gotten out, so you have less options. However, that can be an option for some people. They can be very strict on the underwriting, but for people that are healthy, that fit within certain criteria and just know they need it, it can be a good option. Now, another option is putting either a long-term care or critical illness or living benefits rider or whatever. We can get into those details in an individual appointment, but adding a rider onto life insurance could be an option for some, especially if you need a life insurance death benefit. Sometimes it can be more lenient than long-term care depending on your individual concerns within your situation. Sometimes if you need an extra retirement vehicle or you want permanent insurance, you want to make sure that you come out ahead one way or another. These are all possible life insurance cases that we can get into and make sure that you're taken care of on those concerns. But there are drawbacks to it. Sometimes, if you can't afford to pay for the life insurance, you're not going to be able to keep it. Sometimes you're not going to get your full investment back. Sometimes, you're going to have other things that get in the way there too. So there are pros and cons to everything. It can also be expensive to both have life insurance and long-term care. Then again, sometimes in some cases, it can be the same price to have the life insurance or the long-term care. And so if you can combine it and have the same cost, then you've taken care of two of your concerns at the same time. Another way to do it is by putting it into some kind of investment vehicle. Usually probably a fixed indexed annuity of some kind. Some of them have the ability, number one, to waive surrender fees. Other times they may have a double or quadruple or triple indemnity in the case of not being able to perform your activities of daily living, something like that. So you've got different options there. Now those three that I just highlighted are probably the three that an insurance agent or advisor is probably going to come out with if they know what they're talking about. But I'll also say this: that's not the only option to be able to cover these concerns, especially if you're on a budget. But even if you're not, you can take different approaches to try to cover yourself. So the long-term care options that I did talk about are your like home run, let's get it done, we're going to invest options. However, those are all on kind of on the back end. They cover when you're sick, when you can't do your activities of daily living, when you're in the nursing home, when you're already deep into home health care, whatever. That's those kinds of things that are being covered. Now, another strategy that you can use that we use with some of my clients is let's protect what we can. Let's protect things on the front end. Let's get you a cancer policy or critical illness. So when you get diagnosed with these things that ultimately sometimes put you in a nursing home, you get reimbursed up front to have something to pay for these concerns. Because if you have a $50,000 medical bill and your cancer policy takes care of that $50,000 medical bill, that didn't come out of your retirement, did it? It came out of that insurance that you just purchased. If you happen to have a profit from your medical bills versus what you get paid in that cancer or critical illness or whatever policy, well, then you can put that back further into your retirement or put in the bank or whatever and have it there sitting for you later. What about hospital indemnity? Usually before you get in a nursing home, you're going to be in the hospital before you get there. Well, if you get reimbursed several $100s a day, that's money that you can use to put back to be able to pay some of your first long-term care bills. Home health care. There are some very affordable home health care policies that will take care of a lot of benefit for not very much, and you can get it with some health conditions. This is a huge opportunity for a lot of people to be able to get that. Recovery care. There are a few companies that offer kind of a recovery care option. I call it a short-term, long-term care policy. You're not paying that much for it. You're not paying as much for it, but you're still getting up to a year's benefit in a nursing home, and it can also be skilled nursing. So even if it's a rehab stay, you can get reimbursed per day for that. You can get accident plans. Again, how can you end up in a nursing home? Have a bad accident, be in a car wreck and be incapacitated, whatever. Well, if you have an accident policy that takes care of some of those concerns, boom, you just saved whatever money you got reimbursed for that accident. And this is a weird angle, but it's not exactly the final punch that I might be looking for, but the last thing that was on my list was dental, vision, and hearing. Why? Because if you get reimbursed for your dental, vision, and hearing, that's saving you money on your health costs. So the point is, you can basically load up on things that cover on the front end so that you save money or you have enough money saved on the back end. Or you can do a combination of it, or both. Or let's say you have health problems that you can't do a true standalone long-term care and you don't have $500,000 that you want to put in an annuity. Well, maybe you can do something for a few $100s a month and make sure that you pretty much don't have a problem. So there are so many options to be able to take care of your long-term care. There's a lot more to get into, but it took me almost 20 minutes to summarize long-term care and your options. I look forward to getting into some of these individual videos because I think we can really help you narrow down exactly what you need to do with your long-term care. Best way to do it is to come in and talk to us. Sit down with us and let's have a conversation and let's figure out your individual scenario and make sure that you're taken care of. Looking forward to helping you. Check us out, like, subscribe, follow our social media, and we will help you get through these concerns. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope this helps somebody. God bless.